and we're freaking back. Happy belated New Year, bro.
Yes, man. Welcome back, man. Hey.
Jeez.
I know it's been a long time.
And we got Puja too. Welcome, Puja. We don't want to keep you on.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Happy belated New Year. I think that's going to be the hashtag trend. Jeez.
Right?
We're late, huh?
Yeah, are we ever? I mean, we took a little hiatus, but we had no. Oh yeah, I know. I mean, with us, we were like, yeah, we're coming back in January.
Oh.
And shit.
Had a flat tire.
Yeah, you had a flat tire. I had to go do something at the Capitol, and just got held up a little bit. But I'm out on bail, and everything's cool, guys. Everything's cool.
Got your lawyers and everything straight, right?
Yeah, I got everything straight. I got the lawyers. He's handling things. Yeah, the only black guy in the Capitol, and they held me without bail for a little bit.
I saw you on TV.
You saw me?
I did. I was like, isn't that Reggie? Oh,
they had a thing. All right, Puja, I don't know if you've seen the stuff with the Capitol, but it was on social media. They had it all trending. Like there was one black guy that was in the Capitol riot, right? And he sat there. They were like, yo, we don't want all the black people were like, hey, we don't want this, brother. We don't know what he's doing. I'm like, no. He was in there because he was told that they had the the checks for the
oh my God,
coronavirus.
Yeah. What do you call it? I forget.
The stimulus package.
Yes, the stimulus package. They were like, he was like, yo, first come, first serve. So he was the Uber driver, and he happened to go up in there with the Proud Boys.
No,
That's too much.
that is
You
messed
got
up.
a long ride.
Hey, that's what happened. That's what happened. But anyway, how was your New Year's, Puja?
It was quiet, and as everything is right now with COVID.
Oh my God, it's
nice.
true.
Yes,
That is very true. I mean, for me, it's been quiet for several years. What about you, Ray?
I would say it's been very quiet for me too. I mean,
Really?
Nothing new, nothing exciting.
Yeah.
Got a new position at my job, so.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
bro, that's
Congrats.
awesome.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
I know. Now I'm looking for. You know how out of it I am, but I got you, bro.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I'm so out of it. I'm like, where's that clap?
Yeah,
Where's that clap track? But yeah.
yeah. So.
Okay, good thing you clarified the clap track. Because
Like I said, I was held. I was detained for a little bit. No bail. I cannot say what happened
my
behind
God.
those walls.
Oh no.
Puja, where is your mind today?
Yeah. So,
On vacation.
BYOB, claptrap.
yo,
I
even,
know.
huh?
I know you guys can analyze me today. How about
I know, right? She's on the right podcast.
Right. Bro-RantZ.
Yo, but for me, it was a quiet New Year's. I mean, Kate and I, we sat. We actually had to do. Our daughters had a more eventful night. We were the Uber driver for the youngest, so we had to drop her off at a late thing with her friends to hang out, and we had to pick her up. I think it was like 2:00 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Well, if she was at a friend's house, so it was like friends that were there with the parents
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Hanging out.
Yeah, with the parents' house. Yeah, at the end of the day, still made me feel like a fucking loser.
I
You know
mean,
what I-
You're like, we're gonna have a party. Don't worry.
Dude, when did I turn into the old man? You know what I mean?
I was.
No, but I was like, you got your, I picked her up and all of a sudden my voice turned weird. I turned into this 55-year-old white man. Like, you got your mother and I out here. It's 2:00 in the morning. I had to wake your mother up. She's on the couch. God, for God's sake. And then Kate was like, Archie.
Hey, I counted down and went to sleep
You did?
immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's because, dude, you work pretty hard. Because you're constantly on the go. So I remember you used to tell me, used to pass up like, hey, I'd have a mid conversation text with this guy, Pusha, and all of a sudden he's like, hey, where are you going? Next to 2:00 in the morning. Hey, I saw that. He got the haha joke, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Going through. Did he fall asleep? No, like, is this Ray or Raymond?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh,
busy.
jeez.
Yeah, but what I would love to get into, which I wanted to get to, this was last year, was the reason we created Men's Health Thursdays anyway, which was mental health. That was one thing that I wanted to touch on because it is a subject we don't prescribe to or admit in the black community or as men, period. But particularly in our community, it is the not so cool thing to talk about. We're supposed to be proud and black and proud and strong and.
Well, sometimes the problem is people don't know what you mean when someone says mental health. What does that really mean, though?
Yeah, but yeah, for me,
Yeah.
it seems to me what I get from it is, you got to be strong-willed, strong-minded to not let anything affect you. So you put on that bravado. Do you get that a lot with your practice, Puja?
Oh yeah, I mean, I do, but I guess the difference is because it's like a private practice. People are usually not, they don't have to come see me. It's by choice. So most people that do reach out will do so with some intention or clarity of what they want. But yeah, even when they do that, there's still a lot of resistance to the real issues as to why they're there. And it takes time. I mean, it takes time to build up that, rapport where someone's finally like, oh yeah, and boom, this is why I'm here, or when the walls need to come down. But it really comes down to just making that connection, that trust. If you don't build a trust with somebody, then, you're not going to open up and you're not going to share. So until someone truly feels it's a safe space, I have felt that barrier, a lot of it, even if they come in voluntarily. And it's not like court. I don't have a court order.
Oh yeah. They definitely have an issue if they come in court ordered.
I'm not for that. But even those like people that do need to do that, like they are showing their right. So we say feelings is subjective because you're feeling it, right? But your emotion for how you might express it comes through your behavior, which is objective. I can see it and go, oh yeah, he threw the chair. Like that's a very objective thing I can witness, but the feeling is subjective. So what we're always seeing with a lot of people is this, like, and men especially, like everything's fine. Like, it's that exterior thing, but internally doesn't necessarily mean that they're not feeling rage. Like when people just go, whatever, man, like, move on. That doesn't mean that like they're not feeling angry, sad. It's just their way of not going there, because going there would mean actually feeling it, right? And letting somebody else see them in that way. So I have had that, especially being a female therapist with male therapists. Sometimes like they're not sure, if they kind of have that exterior that they would, I think, with like a date or somebody that they care about or their spouse. And it takes some time to kind of get to the point. And sometimes I get direct, and that's when it gets a little bit more, I think, comforting for men, instead of tiptoeing around like why they're there. I'll sometimes say it.
I was going to say like not to interrupt you, excuse me, but
no, you did not. I talk too much.
No, you're good. No, you're good. No, I just wanted to all right. So when let's say someone kind of they go to you, do they call you because most of the time someone referred them, recommended contacting you because you might be assistants and they don't realize they have underlying issues? Or it's just like they reach out, they see, they find you. I was going to say the yellow pages, but they find you on Google and they're like, let me just.
The yellow pages.
I'm having these feelings on Yelp or whatever, Yelp or something. Hey, these are things that Raymond taught me. He taught me about the phone bag too. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is,
what are you trying to say?
Basically, when they come to you, are they knowing they have this underlying issue, or is it more so, someone, my primary physician said contact you, or my friend said, hey, you did wonders for them?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think a lot of it is word of mouth referrals. Like, if like, let's say you and a group of friends are talking and maybe later somebody's like, I think, I had some other stuff, but like I talked to a therapist, here's her number. Or, now there's a lot of directories online. A lot of people actually reach out themselves. I would say, 85% of the patients I've seen have reached out to me because they feel something's not right internally for them and they want to explore and talk about it. Whereas some people will still call, because they want to engage, but also because their significant other or people in their, immediate family have said, we've noticed X, Y, and Z. Like, I really think you should get some support for this, or you should really talk to a therapist. And that's the first time they've entertained it. Maybe not to the person that's told them you should go speak to someone.
Yeah.
But they've actually thought about it and come in to see me independently. They've either found me through a directory based on my specializations or their, insurance or their needs, requirements, all of those things. Like, there's a few good ones, like psychologytoday.com is a big one where all kinds of different therapists and mental health psychiatrists, they all sort of post their bio, and you can search based on your zip code, needs, specialties, things like that. There's another one. It's called Good Therapy, I think.com. There's all kinds through your insurance panels, through ZocDoc. Now there's even more for online therapy. So I think there's just more access now from home, so people are able to find it. But most people come because it's usually more so motivated by an internal need. Sometimes it's just to come and they're hoping to get validity as to nothing's wrong with that, right? They'll say, yeah, well, my girlfriend says I don't do this X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I just want to tell her I'm fine, right? Or it's more for that, especially in couples therapy. Most times one of the partners is usually looking to get some validity that they're right and the other's wrong. And I have to, burst that bubble and go, this isn't what that's about. But I can see that you need that. So it's right here.
So Puja, most times in the Black community, Black and brown community, as far as mental health, people don't go, like you said, because usually prideful or they don't know much about it. But what about as far as financially? Most people can't afford it. What can be done about that though?
Yes.
Especially what you were mentioning about the things taking place with the insurance in your practice.
Right.
Can you go into how would they reach you? The detour of way of getting to you now.
Absolutely. So, I know that there's been a lot of right now, mental health is the hot topic, but the mental health, issues and access to it has been an issue for a long time. And now all of a sudden it's all over media. And I think, though, we're not addressing the real root of the problem here is that even if you have insurance, they're not covering everything, or they're paying very low rates to access the health care that you need, or they're, it'll just be all bundled, meaning no matter how many things you do in session, how well you, assess or what method you use, it doesn't matter. You're still going to get reimbursed at a certain rate. They'll deny things. They will retroactively take payments back. So it's been my experience that a lot of therapists who go into private practice will eventually stop taking insurance because of these headaches and these issues as providers that we face. So a lot of things that I've done, because the reason I got into it was I really wanted to help people, but it was also affecting my ability to feel, I was overwhelmed. I was seeing 40 people a week. It was just getting to be too much. And the return on the energy you expend is, and then you don't always feel your best. So you want to make sure you're not compromising the quality of care. So a couple of ways that, these things can get addressed is you can, I'm going to eventually start groups. So for a flat, fee per group, you can do 10 sessions with maybe 6 other people dealing with very similar things. So it would need to be screened by me, make sure that everybody in there is understanding of the new compliance with virtual stuff. You don't have to have your video on if you don't want, things like that. So group therapy is a good way to get some support. Also, it's a good way to see that you're not the only one struggling. There are other people out there dealing with similar issues. So it kind of gives you a little bit of support in a way too.
Is that common?
That is very common. Groups are very, very common. And it's part of a next to individual therapy, couples therapy, group therapy is also utilized because it helps some people who often are very resistant connect and go, oh, okay, so there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not a weirdo. I'm not a freak. This happens to other people.
Matter of opinion.
I want to say I saw on Facebook a group on Facebook called the Bipolar Group, or
oh really?
Yeah, a bipolar group for people who are bipolar or something like that.
Yeah, so those I would be careful with how much you share, because those, even though they say they're private, it's still public. I'm talking about a therapeutic group where there's the same confidentiality that you would have
so
an individual.
One ran by a therapist or a mental health specialist.
Right. So if I was, in person, I would have maybe 8. I would say a good number is no more than 8, for 8 to 10 adults, maybe max, depending on what the group is. Some are just set up 10 groups for psychoeducation, just helping you understand your new medical illness or how to deal with, your depression, anxiety, just different topics. Or there's some that are more for therapeutic, kind of, way to help you move beyond your barriers and really get other people in on confronting you, or you confronting them, or realizing like through the group dynamics how much progress you can make when somebody else is able to, from your similar situation, point out certain things that maybe, you know, you're not aware of, or the therapist can't directly get to because you need that from someone else that you know is going through the same thing, you know. Again, builds trust, builds a little bit of, but yes, so those are, let me just clarify, the group therapy should be it's very different than like those online groups. I'm talking
correct. Okay.
Groups run with the same strict confidentiality in place, contracts signed by members that they're not going to, you know, share this info outside, things like that. So it would be the same way you would go see a doctor. It's the same confidentiality rules that apply. And HIPAA, the health, you know, guidance rules regarding what you share in there. So those groups are very different than.
So with the group with the group sessions, that'd be a way to cut down on costs for an individual who can't afford it.
Right. So it's a good way, like that's one way. So you're having access, and if your level of need, as in, you know, you're not really, or you can do like, some people can't afford weekly sessions, you know, individually. So sometimes it's a good way to support and have like a boost, like an augmented way of receiving care. So you do maybe 2 individual sessions, and then you do the group as well at the same time. So the groups can be like $20, $25 per session with everybody else, or most insurances will cover those too. So that's fine, you know, depending on what it is. And then another way is, and something I have done and I'm continuing to do, even though I'm out of network, is sliding scale rates. So people, you know, need support and they can't afford a specific rate, or they don't have insurance, but there is need. If I can't, you know, help connect them with more regular resources, I will see them for a much smaller portion of the rate, a sliding scale based on their income.
Oh, okay.
Or just based on your current, you know, I don't even ask for, like, some therapists might ask for your pay stub or something.
Oh, wow.
Or, you know,
so they get like that? Damn.
Some might, practices might, like their financial side might, but like not, you know, but I don't, I'm like, all right, I'll take your word for it. Like, I get it. So it depends on who you see. And then you can reserve specific, like for pro bono, like I know I've done before when immigration courts were still in session. I've done some like very, very low cost, like evaluations for women who were seeking asylum at a very low rate for, or pro bono. And I worked with this nonprofit to do these assessments. And so there's ways to connect. If I can't do it, I help you, you know, make sure that there's awareness of resources, or I do both. I will see them for their specific, whatever it is that they can afford at the moment, or pro bono. I do try to save 1 or 2 spots for that. But the more clinicians you have, like right now I'm expanding now into group practice. So once I have clinicians on board, there will be more options for care. So that's one. And people also don't understand their out of network and in network benefits. So let's say you are working and you have insurance. Just because a therapist is not in network does not mean that your out of network coverage doesn't count. So you would be able to call your insurance company and say, okay, if I want to see this therapist in this specific group, but they're not taking this as a network, what are my out of network mental health benefits for individual therapy? They can get that info. And sometimes it's like the insurance will cover 60% of the clinician's fee and you just pay 40%. Whereas for some insurances, even if the clinician is in network, you might still have to pay 20% and they pay 80%. So it's not a big difference in terms of what you're going to end up paying for your share, even if you go out of network. So therapists do take insurance if they're not in network. It's just through their out of network benefits. But now if somebody has no insurance, then we're talking, you know, alternatives like a sliding scale.
Okay.
Some groups do have pro bono. I have done that in the past. And I'm going to build that back up again because that is the reason I got into this profession. So I do want to keep with those roots, but group is another great way, as long as it's run by an ethical, licensed therapist or someone who's being supervised, making sure that everything is run ethically and well, and the group feels safe. So that's another good way to do that. There's lots of little ways to get that support. You can, I think now a lot of insurances are even waiving copays. You have to ask, there's grants. People don't know about this. I learned about it just because I got into the financial side of my practice, but you can ask if, let's say you have a really high deductible. Some people, even that are in network, still have to pay the deductible. So you're still paying out of pocket at that point, which is another barrier that insurances cause, is that even if you're in network, you're paying your premiums. You found a therapist that takes your insurance. Now you have every January, let's say your insurance restarts, you have like a $5,000 deductible. So you're still having to pay based on your plan, your fees, your contracted rate, because your insurance won't start paying until you meet that $2,000 or whatever. So that's another barrier that insurance companies also place on their own members, is you're paying a premium, but you also have a deductible now. So it's not the therapist, that's just the way your plan is set up. But some people now, you can apply for grants or some sort of a waiver if there's financial difficulty. I know right now, especially because of COVID, a lot of insurances are being able to offer waivers for mental health shares of cost, like either your copay, your deductible amount or whatnot, or co-insurance. You just have to verify that with your insurance. But there's ways, I think, that people are stepping up. There's funding for healthcare. I can't think that there is one that I just heard of that they help pay these expenses. If you can't, I'll find it and I'll send you guys the link so you can post it.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you guys some helpful links to post.
I have a crazy question for you.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, you have a spouse, friend, someone in your family or something, and you think they have a problem mentally. Is there like a questionnaire they can fill out to say, okay, I do have a problem because I checked yes here and no there and no here and yes there, and I guess it can sort of like say, you know what, I do have a mental problem, or I do need help, or is it just more of just you have to go to a therapist and then talk to someone and they can tell me?
Yeah, so I would highly, I know that there are all these online quizzes and things that tell you, if you're a narcissist or if you're this or
right.
that.
Right. That's what I was getting at too.
Right. I would be very careful, because not all of these are done with rigorous scientific, they're not valid, meaning you're not going to always test for what they're meant to test for. They're not reliable in the sense that they might not always give the same result as to what you're looking for.
Okay.
So I highly discourage people from using stuff on their own. What I think is helpful, because even the way, and I think this is, I think we were briefly touching on this before, but even to say, if there's a mental problem. So when we phrase it like that, then it becomes like this stigma, this taboo, like, oh shit, like I'm fucked up in the head, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
As opposed to like, I'm having a hard time emotionally, or like if you are physically having a hard time, right? Like you have physical symptoms. That's why a lot of people of color especially, tend to go to the doctor with physical problems, because it's more acceptable to say, I can't sleep, or my neck hurts all the time, or this happens to me all the time. And then the doctor will run all these tests, maybe rule out physical stuff. And it usually goes to emotional health, struggles, or mental health challenges like depression. And I think a big thing that we as this is just me on my soapbox, as a community and as a larger society should do, is I don't know if you really need the label mental health or behavioral health care versus like just health care. I think that your brain is part of your entire body, and it actually regulates everything in your body. So it should all just be health care.
That's true.
If you had a thyroid problem, you're going to take medication. So if you have depression, you need to regulate your neurotransmitters or your hormones in the brain. So what's the difference,
I guess, yeah, because I guess as a society, we compartmentalized things as far as just physical and mental. And I don't know if it takes away from you seeing you seeing your personal physician, your primary care versus going to see your mental. I don't know if it's seen as a business thing. You know what I mean? Like, that takes away from me if we go there. If it's seen that way, because like you're saying, both in the black and brown communities, the first care they tell you to go to is everything from an orthodontist, a dentist, or a primary care doctor. for those things, but there's never ever the scale of ever seeking someone to talk out your feelings or talk out your problems or talk about maybe the thoughts, the inner thoughts you're having, the skeletons, the fears. None of that's ever brought up. That's something you either
sorry.
No, you're fine.
Just to piggyback on that, just to add to that
Sure.
point that you just made, that people go to the primary care, and a lot of times primary care doctors will end up prescribing an antidepressant, but their patient is not getting any other support in the form of talk therapy, or they may have given them referrals, but they haven't really followed through, or can't, again, financial barriers, timing, all of those things, or they'll just say, oh, go look on this website and find someone. Now, if someone's very depressed, their judgment is impaired. They're going to have a hard time narrowing down who to call, even to initiate that whole process of looking for somebody, so they'll just continue to stay on the medication, and the primary care will keep providing that because a lot of people are on it.
That actually brings me to my other question. So I was gonna say, I'm a man and whatnot, and Raymond's a man, and we're out here. What are signs for men out there, especially dealing with the quarantine? And I think the quarantine has brought out a lot of demons and a lot of unsaid things. I think a lot of relationships have either rejuvenated or they've ended due to the quarantine, because people realize that maybe the compatibility is no longer, or they have mental issues that they've never addressed, and it's been swept under the rug with work and having to do with kids. Having to do kid things and having to be mom or wife and having to be husband, that they don't ever really address it. What are these signs that what are the signs that we should seek outside help, as far as whether it's I don't think it needs to get detrimental that it's suicidal, but what are signs to prevent it from even getting dark like that? Like fatigue. What should we look out for as men?
Yeah, absolutely. So foremost, I think one of the biggest things that is really good to also make sure is that you're eating right and sleeping well, because those things can certainly contribute. So look out for that. Are you sleeping more? Are you sleeping less? Are you getting any, I know right now sunshine, well, if you're in the Northeast, it's very grim. So vitamin D supplementation is super important. Are you getting your exercise? Now, are you feeling just one of the biggest signs, are you just feeling detached? Like you're not really there, Are you just not feeling present? You're just going through the motions. Things that may evoke some sort of emotion before is just you just feel kind of numb.
What about insecurity? Is insecurity one of the things, or is that just something, or neediness, or anything that falls into that?
Absolutely. Anything that you feel is out of place for you, because everyone's unique, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to experience it based on their past conditioning, their past life, as in their childhood, what they saw growing up, how they were.
No, I thought you were talking about when I was a woman before, but that's cool.
You could.
Is that why you wear those pantyhose?
I was Marilyn Monroe, bro. It was Robert for me. It wasn't Jack. It was Robert for me. It was all Robert.
Let's do some clinical hypnosis, and we can get you in your past life regression. Just kidding, I won't do that.
No, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Things like that. If you're somebody who's always kind of felt, even at your highest or lowest, you feel like there's still some sort of enjoyment that you're getting, but that's no longer there. You're not sleeping right, like you're sleeping too much or too little, waking up in the middle of the night. Are you having physical symptoms? Like a lot of times with men, I've noticed it's they'll feel just tired or achy. The headaches are physiologically they're not always feeling their best.
Yeah.
So that's one, or they're feeling, maybe their heart starts beating. Everybody's had some, I think, I know I have too during this time, just a lot of anxiety and overwhelmingness. I don't think that's a word, but an overwhelming feeling of.
Did you say loneliness?
Stress. No, that too.
Oh, okay.
Overwhelming, yeah. So if you feel like you're alone, but you're with your loved ones, you're feeling detached. It's called, there's a process to this, depersonalization, where sometimes a lot of people feel like they're watching themselves just go through the motions. They're not really there, They're not able to experience anything. That numbing is very dangerous, because that means that you're just sort of past, you're just whatever.
Wow. That means
not a good way to
hopelessness
feel,
is there. Yeah, it's not a good place to be.
So you should certainly at that point seek out support. But before that, are you more irritable? Are you, more stressed? I'll send a link to, it's what usually primary care doctors will use in their office, or I use it when I first do the intake. It's the PHQ scale for depression, and there's one for generalized anxiety. So it's just simple questions. You can fill that out, but take it with you. Don't try to interpret what that means. But it can be a good way to see, are you answering a lot in the threes, or the quality, what's your quality of life? Because we can all have, there are people who are like functioning alcoholics. We've heard of that term.
Oh yeah. Yes. And we have people like that in our families. All of us do yeah.
Sure. But in reality, they're just probably self-medicating the depression and anxiety.
Masking whatever it is. Correct.
So we can have people who are have mental problems and they just going through the motions.
Absolutely, especially right now with the demands of child caring. People, are working full time, doing their own meetings while their children are supposed to go to school online. So they're now responsible for facilitating that, making sure their homework's done, cooking, cleaning, everything. And full time workload. So the level of stress that we're all hitting is really high at this point, and we're constantly home with this threat of anything, you getting sick and ending up on a ventilator. So it's everything is just so anxiety provoking, and there's no escape. Before, you could at least say, okay, I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go to the gym. Well, now your gym is like your basement, which is still surrounded by probably all your other clutter and toys. And so there's no space.
There's no escape. And not only that, if you and even if the gyms are open, there's still the fear of, okay, what new strain is out there, or of the COVID, and I could catch it. When you were just talking, I came to this epiphany,
realization.
Yeah, I came to this epiphany. Because we're on the phone with smart, we're talking to smart people. We got up our game, Ray. We got up our game. We got up our game.
It was the big words.
Yeah. So I was, I can see why the depression went up, or the mental health went up when quarantine took over. Because if you think about it, it was almost like adults, middle-aged adults, but let's say 80%. Whatever, how much percentage was of America or the world, right? Because it's a global thing, was hitting retirement. And now you're losing your identity. And there's nothing masking you from nothing covering up whatever you used to cover. Now you're just you, and you're worthless, and you're home, and you're like, oh crap, well, I don't have to wake up and do this. There's no one telling you to be a certain place, to do this certain thing. And the motivation's gone, because a lot of people in retirement, that's what happens. They say a lot of them die quickly because they know they identify themselves with their duties and who they were and what positions they held,
with their routines and stuff.
Yeah, with their routines and what their importance and the the title they held at their corporate offices or whatnot.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's another thing, is that you're no longer seeing colleagues. You're very detached, you're isolated from outside of the screen. And again, you have a lot more flexibility. There's that a lot of people, I think, and I don't know if this is my own personal experience now that's creeping into this, and I guess I could speak from my own personal experience. Doing the work that I do, I've seen a huge increase in stress and anxiety and depression, but also as a therapist myself, I'm now the container for all of that, and I have my own stuff at the same time.
I was going to say that. Who therapist to therapist? I'm like, do you have a hotline that's like, girl, call this number whenever you're feeling
that
down.
Was my question too. How do you get help? What do you do?
The same thing we do?
Well, we talk to our principal, but
a lot of wine.
Or do you call your mentor? Do you call your mentor like, wine. I had to call my mentor. I have to call my,
we have groups for peer supervision, we call it. So we check in, or just getting your own therapist. I've seen a therapist, that is a way to make sure that I'm not bringing my shit into your session, and I'm not dumping what I am, dealing with, and I'm not putting the two together and telling you, you need to leave this guy, or you need to leave this woman, because that's where my head is. It's not. It's very, very important.
So you're okay. So you're not putting any of whatever you're feeling, projecting it onto your patients.
Patients.
Got you. And then you give them the wrong information. Next thing you know, the house is on fire.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that a lot because in our household, my kids always ask me, Dad, why don't you ever complain, or why don't you ever say you're tired, or why don't you always say you're hurting, or And I tell them I'm not allowed to. Which I probably shouldn't say that,
Yeah, you shouldn't say that.
I probably shouldn't say that. Because I always say, I have to take care of you guys. I have to be there for you guys.
But that's what you've been told. Yeah. That was another thing I was going to talk on generation, but obviously we're not going to get that because we're getting close to your wrap up. But for everyone to know, we will, what we're going to be doing with Puja's, and we're going to have your Puja help Thursday segment, which is, once a month. We're going to be doing that with you so we can actually... Sure. We address these issues, and now we're going to find out how to go about fixing these issues, and how petty, how little it may be, whatever it is. We're going to address them, and we're going to go through this journey with Puja together.
I'm happy to go on that journey with you guys. I mean, when I'm in the process too, between when patients come in, we're talking. I'm part of that equation too. So
gotcha.
It's a journey for both of us, and that's sort of the biggest thing I think to take away is if you don't feel comfortable with your therapist, you don't have that relationship.
Yeah,
it's never going to feel right. So you need to feel safe and kind of I think Raymond, I believe you just said I'm not allowed to. That's worth exploring, right? Maybe something we could talk about. What does that
absolutely
mean?
Yeah. I definitely want to get into being more, as she says, vulnerable with our own lives and speaking of our own emotions. So so these guys that listen to us, or women, are more comfortable addressing it with their spouses and seeking the help they need.
Yeah, because I want to come off like I'm a human. I don't want to be in
you're Kawhi Leonard, bro. You're a complete bot. He's a robot. This dude is.
Where's that laugh at?
Exactly.
Is there a little chip in the back?
I know why he only wants water, because he can't handle sugar. It'll ruin his damn gears inside his body. Dealing with this humanoid over here. Anyway. Well, Puja, we're going to wish you an awesome evening.
Thank you.
Yes, Puja, thank you so much.
Hey, look at that. We wrapped her up in time. It's amazing.
You
so our
did.
first.
How about that? Hey, we're on time?
Yes. Her husband's not going to get mad at us and start to keep her away from us, and her baby.
Blocking our
her
phone
baby
calls.
Her baby daddy is not going to get mad. Okay, cool. This is wonderful. I love this.
And my son's little is going to be able to play with him,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. 2021, we are professionals.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We're getting it together.
Like
my gosh, Bro-RantZ. This is amazing.
Where's the clapping at?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Come on.
Maybe, hopefully.
Applaud.
Did they go?
There we go. Hey.
Thank you, everybody. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is,
awesome. We made it through 2020, 2021. Here we go. And
absolutely.
Remember, vulnerability equals strength. So
that's my new hashtag now.
I was trying to remember it, but it didn't come out. I was like, damn it. I was like, what did that damn thing she said? Vulnerability equals. Yeah. Gosh, damn it. Yeah. But I'm going to steal it.
I'll send it to you.
I'm going to steal it. Yeah. Vulnerability equals strength. I love it.
Yes.
Love it. Well, have a wonderful evening.
Tweet that.
You might tweet that?
I might tweet that.
Go ahead and tweet it. Tweet it.
Do it.
Tweet it, twat it, whatever. Twat it, tweet it. Twat it. All right. With that said.
On that high note.
Oh, yeah, exactly. On that said. Have a lovely evening, Puja.
Yes.
Thank
BTP.
You. BTP for life.
And on that low note, yeah. Ciao.
Ciao. See you guys soon.
All right, take care.
Bye, Puja.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Reggie from Bro-RantZ. And if you haven't heard about Anchor by now, where have you been? No, seriously. It is the easiest way to make a podcast, and let me explain why. It's free. I mean, completely free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more platforms. You can start making money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, which is great. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Man, that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was Puja back at her best, giving us what we needed, lifting us up for 2021, giving us information about mental health, helping us, I guess, ride through this year on the right wave.
I hope you guys are taking notes and like, you know, hit us up on the Instagram, Bro-RantZ _ nope, Bro_Rants _ podcast, on the Facebook,
Bro-RantZ
fan page right there. Leave comments, leave things so we know what you guys want to hear, what you want to talk about. If there's any questions, you can even leave questions on the Anchor app. Let us know what you guys want to hear, what questions you guys want us to ask when it comes to this mental health, because it's really getting hard out there. I mean, 2021 still has the remnants of still have the remnants of 2020. It's still
still feeling the effects of 2020.
Yeah.
And listen, if you got anything you want to put out there for us to put on the show about mental health, do not be afraid.
Yep.
We're not afraid.
Absolutely. I feel more, I don't know about you, I feel more liberated speaking of this stuff and not just, you know, acting like it doesn't exist.
Right.
You know?
Because we know it's real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, acting like, you know, saying, hey, this is the subjects we want to talk about and mention, and even getting close into our personal lives or our personal skeletons and emotions. It kind of makes, like she said, the vulnerability is strength, because then you're not hiding. You don't have that demon doesn't have control over you anymore.
Puja made me think about myself
in
a way that I probably haven't thought about myself in a while.
Okay.
She made me like almost make a mental checklist to make sure that I'm okay.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
And if she could do that for me, what can she do for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're going to have her information on there so you guys can reach out to her. And she works on a scale too. She's willing to work with you. That's the one thing we loved about this partnership with her, is the fact that she actually, you can tell she loves what she does and she loves helping people. It has nothing to do with the price tag.
Right. You can hear the passion. You can hear the passion right in her voice.
Exactly. So she's willing to work even with people that don't have insurance, and it's not, she doesn't want to see your pay stubs. She's not going to get the, you know, Guido or anybody after you. Come get you. Oh, you're not paying. Let me see them pay stubs. No, she's not going to do that, man. She's really legit good people. And on that note, guys, I hope you enjoyed Mental Health Thursday, and we're fucking back, bitches. Hey, why so serious? We love you guys.
We do.
Peace.
Bro-RantZ out.